Hello everybody, how we all doing? Welcome back to the Celtic Corner. I wanted to do a video this morning regarding another Celtic gaff. In a season of Celtic Football Club gaffs, we have another one this week. Even an international break, when all is quiet at Celtic Park, they decide to do something silly and annoy the fans with their brutal decision making again at the club, in my opinion. Again, it's another slap in the face to supporters and to fan media and to fans all over the world who enjoy Celtic content, who enjoy Celtic podcasts and creators and stuff, and who enjoy when fan media are inside the club. This week, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, ex-Arsenal and Liverpool player, who's now currently at Celtic for a few months, done a Liverpool podcast in Parkhead, at Parkhead. It was the Anfield Wrap, who are a very popular podcaster in England. Liverpool, they've got loads of followers, loads of attention on them and stuff. But Celtic have banned fan media from the club, and yet they've allowed an English club to come in and speak to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, honestly, who comes up with these things at Parkhead? Who allows these things? Who thinks, you know what, that's a good idea? Let's just let that happen. We're currently at war with some supporters with the Green Brigade. A lot of Celtic fans are disgruntled with how things have been going this season, not just on the park but off the park. And yet they decide that it's a good idea to let another club come in and ask the questions that people want to ask. You know, okay, it's just one player, and but why are they allowing other clubs to come in and speak to people when Celtic fans, who are the most important people about a club, by the way, the most important people at a club are the supporters, the people who pay money, the people who turn up to games, the people who talk about the club and love the club. That's who matter the most. And yet the Celtic board and the Celtic decision makers right now, again, have decided to go down the road of just sheer stupidity, because I can't believe that it's intentional. They can't be this silly that they would think it's okay to do this. It's got to be, something that they're not thinking about. It's whoever's making decisions at Celtic Park are not worth a thing right now, because they're making the wrong decisions constantly throughout the season. The AGM was a big one for me. That really opened my eyes to how they're treating supporters and stuff. But they've let the Anfield Wrap in to ask Oxlade-Chamberlain all sorts of questions. I mean, like I say, the supporters are the most important people at the club. That's who drive the club, and yet we're shut out. When Celtic fan media are in, um, they ask the questions that Celtic probably don't want to answer, and that's the problem here. They don't want to answer these questions. They don't want to be held accountable for the decision making this season, and that goes from the top to the bottom. That goes from Dermot Desmond to his son to everybody across the board, to everybody who's been involved in the coaching staff, starting from Brendan Rodgers to Wilfred Nancy, everybody, even Mark O'Neill at times. The players, a lot of people have been questioning the players this season. Absolutely correct. They've not been good enough. So it just really is disturbing how these things are allowed to happen and how it's just accepted. What more can Celtic fans take at this point of being slapped in the face by the club? You know, I commend anybody who still goes to games, who still pays for their ticket, pays for merchandise, turns up at the ground, pays for their transport, goes for a pint after it, buys their self or their children or whoever, a scarf for a programme and all that, because Celtic are doing absolutely nothing right now to merit any of this. The only reason that people are doing it is because we love Celtic. That's the only reason people are turning up right now, because the way Celtic fans are being treated this season is actually bordering on ridiculous. It's antagonizing. I think they're genuinely trying to antagonise fans at times, but they took far too long to sack Wilfred Nancy. They never went for the right guy in the first place. We all knew Wilfred Nancy. Deep down, I think we all knew it wasn't going to work. It was a guy for the MLS who hadn't won enough to come into a club of that size and start producing. He just showed he was totally inept. He was totally out of his depth. And it's a shame that he was brought in at period of time. You know what I mean? It's like we needed somebody to come in who was a total winner, who knew what they were doing. But unfortunately, they've been doing the wrong road. There's so many things this season. How they've spoke to the fans. They've not done enough. You know, they've not done enough interviews. Michael Nicholson, you hardly hear from him. You don't hear from Dermot Desmond at all. He didn't even turn up to the AGM. He sent his boy. You know, it's just he's too busy in a golf course, and that's the thing. It's like these guys have done a lot for Celtic. You know, Dermot Desmond has come in and he's spent money and stuff. But when the chips are down, you never hear from him. You never ever hear from him. When the Celtic fans are screaming out for answers or screaming out for a wee bit of communication of what's happening and stuff like that, you never get it for Celtic. And to me, that is just a massive slap in the face. Even across the city, at the other club in the city, right? They're always coming out with statements. They're always coming out with people giving them information of what they want to hear. You know what I mean? And Celtic are never ever doing that. And this goes back a long time. This goes back to COVID as well. You know, during the COVID season when we were really, really poor and stuff, and Neil Lennon was under a lot of pressure and the team weren't performing at all. You never get any kind of communication for the clubs saying, you know what, we know this is a problem, but we're sticking with it just now until we can change things. But you know, they never came out and say nothing. Peter Lawwell, can't even remember him doing many interviews to the media or whatever over the years when he was at Celtic. There's just no enough communication to the supporters and stuff. And like I say, if you're still turning up there every week and you're still supporting that club, man, good on you. Good on you. I mean, my hat goes right off to you for spending all your money every week and stuff, because especially if you're going to away games and all that as well. Because this board don't deserve it. They do not deserve it. These players, they need to offer more if they're going to deserve your support. You know what I mean? But it's just again, it's another week. When I seen this week, I just thought, what more can you do, Celtic? Honestly, what more can you actually do here? You're shutting your own fans out. You know, you're shutting down questions that everybody wants answered, and you're allowing the Anfield Wrap in. And no disrespect to them, fair play to them. You know, they've asked the question, can they come up and speak to Oxlade Chamberlain? And Celtic have welcomed them with open arms because they know that it's a big podcast. They know that it'll get a reach and stuff. But yet our own big podcasts aren't allowed in to ask the questions that everybody wants answered. Celtic have been really, really bad this year, on and off the park, from top to bottom. There's no been many pass marks for anyone throughout the club. Benjamin Negrin is the only one that showed any fight on the park, in my opinion. It showed any kind of quality that's been good enough for Celtic. And even at that, Celtic fans are like, you know what, he's a lot of Celtic fans don't rate Benjamin Negrin. And I can kind of get it, because he's no, you know, he's not he's not got the biggest flair in the world, you know what I mean? He'll no kind of grab the game by the scruff of the neck and beat players and take on shots and stuff. But Benjamin Negrin turns up every week and he'll score goals for you. Apart from that, there's not been many Celtic players this season that I feel have deserved any kind of praise or merit. And I don't think that Celtic will win the league at this point, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I can look back on this video in 3, 4, 5 weeks and say I got that badly wrong. But I just don't see anybody outside of the top two, Hearts and the other one, of, you know, coming back, losing it, sorry. And I don't see Celtic coming back. But let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm just really, really scunnered with this season. I think it's been shocking. I think it's the Celtic board. They've got a lot to answer for, and I think that we really do need a clear out from the top. I just think that there's loads of people inside Celtic Park right now that aren't doing their jobs properly, and it's a big season ahead next season. Obviously, we've still got this season to go. We are still mathematically in the league. We are in the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. But next season and the seasons to come are huge for Celtic, because there's going to be a new manager coming in. There's going to be new players coming in. There's going to be a whole new philosophy at the club over the next few years. So I just hope the Celtic board haven't written off this season yet, because it's still salvageable. Even in May, if Celtic go and win a cup, you know, it's better than nothing at the end of the day. But I just to bring the Anfield Wrap in, this just to me, it's only going to make things worse. It's only going, and that's the thing. It seems as if they're just trying to aim to make things worse and worse to create more controversy. We're on that, like I say, we're on an international break here. You know what I mean? We're all wanting a bit of downtime and we don't need to kind of just relax and forget about Celtic for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? And yet they go and do something like this. I mean, it's just absolutely mental to me. Mental. Did anybody ever think, right, hold on, right, we've shut our own fans out. So, see this Anfield Wrap thing, do you know, I think we should maybe just think about this again. Or maybe announce we're going to let fans in, drips and drabs, fan media back in, you know, dribs and drabs, before we announce that actually Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's going to speak to Liverpool Anfield Wrap. I don't know, man. But things need to change at Celtic. They need to start treating the supporters with a bit more respect. But the thing is, that's the thing as well, though. Celtic know, and the Celtic board know, that Celtic fans will always turn up. They'll always turn up. Even the ones that are boycotting, they'll no stay away forever. They'll be missing it. They'll be like, I need to go back. And it'll not take much to bring Celtic supporters back to the club. You know what I mean? For instance, next season, even if we get, you know, we don't win anything this season. See, in the summer, and we go out and get a manager who's competent, and we go out and spend some money and stuff. Celtic fans will be 60,000 Celtic fans at the first home game next season. You know what I mean? That's just how loyal we are. That's just how much we love the club. Even if there is some fans that decide, you know what, I'm not going back after that. There's plenty of other people sitting waiting to come in. You know what I mean? So they know that, though. They know that the fans will never walk away from the club, because we know that the club is much bigger than the board, than Dermot Desmond, than his son, than his entire family, than every single member of that Celtic board and every single member of that Celtic dressing room. The club is bigger than every single one of them. And that they know that. You know? You don't just lose your, it doesn't work like that. You don't just lose your love for Celtic or for the club because it's being mistreated by people in charge. Because they are not the club. But like I say, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. We'll be doing more of these podcasts. We're going to do a wee review of the game at the weekend by the end of this week and stuff, and we'll be just bringing out more and more content, getting some more guests on and stuff like that down the line as well. So keep the faith, people. Hail, hail, and all the best.